Hey listeners, this is Ken Cal, and when I'm not calling the action on the ice for the Red Wings, I'm listening to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
All right, Doc here for the Detroit Beard Collective. Are you rocking a beard this spring, cuz? Is your beard feeling dry, scaly? Could the flyaway hairs use some taming? Does your beard have leftover food in it? You can't be rocking a beard like that these days. There's companies out there that help you groom your beard in a nice, tight way. Go to DetroitBeardCollective.com, a Detroit company that provides quality beard care products. Go to their website, DetroitBeardCollective.com, and check out the many items that they sell. Beard care sets, combs, Detroit Beard Collective t-shirts, or the very popular Beard Crate, which is a comprehensive beard care set which allows you to choose your favorite Detroit Beard Collective product, all for one great price. DetroitBeardCollective.com.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
All I want to know is if you got your popcorn ready. Do you got your popcorn ready?
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong then.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Darren McCarty gets his shots in at Claude Lemieux. And look who came all the way out to try to help. Patrick Waugh. Oh my goodness.
You are listening to the Doc and Jock Show on the Detroit Sports Podcast.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome, everybody, to the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast, our 101st podcast episode, breaking down all things Detroit sports. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin and favorite co-host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz?
You're follically challenged, cousin. I got some questions for you, man. So, I'm not quite on your level yet, but my hair is receding. It's running away. And the wife and I were talking, and she was like, well, maybe you need to go to a stylist. And I was like, what's the difference between a barber and a stylist? Like, I just go to the dudes I go to. I think we might go to the same barber shop. I just go there, and they cut my hair, and it's all good. I mean, right now, I look like Grizzly Adams, man. This is brutal. Like, I'm hairy all over. Like, I got some, like, hockey flow going in the back here. It's insane. So she's like, no, maybe you need to go to a stylist. Maybe they can fix up the front for you because it's really thinning out right up here, and it looks pretty bad. So have you ever gone to a stylist?
No.
Do you know what the difference between a stylist and a barber is?
No, I know the difference because, ladies that are stylists are very nice. Lots of stylists come through this office, and you get to meet and greet new people. And stylists are a very interesting group of people to talk to, for sure. But for me, once I started going thin, people would say to me, why don't you just do something, go get Rogaine, do something. I'm like, you know what? For me, I'm confident in my appearance. I don't care about what my hair looks like. So once I started thinning, then I got to realize that I could get a haircut cheaper. So I go to a place actually called...
I like how the penny pincher comes out.
Yeah. I like the place called Cheap Cuts.
Okay.
And what happens is nowadays an average haircut for men is about $13. Okay. But for me, I use a single blade, 3 all over. So when I go, because it's called a VIP cut because you're using a single blade, it takes about 6 minutes. I sit down, they got me in the system, and it's like 3 all over, bzz, bzz, bzz. I'm in and out of the chair in about 6 minutes. And at Cheap Cuts, it's $7.99 for a VIP member. I actually have a card which indicates that I get a fast cut with a single blade. You know what? No, I'm not. For some people,
we definitely don't go to the same barber anymore.
Actually, yeah, we don't go to the same barber. And so some people actually take it very seriously. There's actually people in overseas, in Turkey, in Europe, that do these weird hair procedures for men, and it really does some wonders. I've had some friends go over to Turkey and do some hair restoration type procedures, and it's not too expensive, but for me personally, I'm not down for that at all. I'm good. I'm very confident in my manlyhood, but you're starting to think about what's going to go on with your hair, huh? You're not going to just be willing to just go bald?
I don't want to. I want to save it for as long as I can. The wife's offered to buy me Bosley, And I was like, no, I don't want hair plugs because that's, 1, it's painful. 2, it looks brutal until the hair grows back in. And 3, I'm not, my hair bothers me. I'm going to be honest with you. It bothers me. But it doesn't bother me to that level. Like, if I'm going to go bald, I'm going to be bald and sexy. I'll just own it. I'll shave it all off, and I'll make do with what I got, right? But until that time, I'd like to save as much as I can, and I'd like to get a decent haircut. See, the issue is I have this little, like, bald patch, like, right here on my head. And it's because I always take my hat and I always rub that part of my head with it, like right here. Because whenever I'm thinking or whatever I'm doing something, I'll itch my head right there. So it just kind of wore the hair away. So I got this little bald patch. So it looks weird when all the hair kind of grows in because it's just a little bit thinner than everywhere else right here. It's brutal, man. So you've never been to a stylist, you know nothing about a stylist. I got her looking into stylists for me. I think I might go and try what she wants me to try, and I'll report back. How's that sound?
Oh my gosh. You going to a stylist is going to be utterly hilarious because now when you go to a stylist, you go
They're
about
expensive as hell too, dude.
You're looking at $25 to $35 now plus tip.
I know. Here's the thing. I go get my hair cut. I get my eyebrows waxed because I got a unibrow, and I usually get shaved. And all that out the door costs me $35. And then you throw in your tip after that. It's great. I'm in, I'm out. It usually takes me about maybe 40 minutes at the barbershop to get all that done. She wants me to go to a stylist where I'm like, well, isn't that like super expensive? She's like, well, the normal haircut's like $35, $45. I was like, that's insane. I was like, are they going to do my eyebrows? She's like, oh, no, these places don't do your eyebrows. I was like, where am I going to get my eyebrows done then? She's like, just go to your place. I'm like, well, that's going to be real convenient. I'm going to walk in with a fresh do and, oh, can I just get my eyebrows done? Can you guys just shave me? Don't worry about everything else. It's just weird.
Can we talk about maybe a happy medium? All across, when you listen to the radio, when you drive around, there's like several dozen Lady Janes all over the place.
There are, but
I've never been to one, but the commercials are very appealing. Lots of TVs.
I've been
lots
to them. I've been to the original one.
What do you think?
Me and my dad was like, we got to go check this place out. There was these hot chicks who cut my hair. And the boobies are all on my face. It's great.
What else did you ask for?
My dad's a total perv. It's great. And I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out with you. I go in there, and the chicks are hot. They're not bad, but they're dumb as bricks, man. Like, you're trying to explain to them how you want your hair cut, and unless it's a number 3 clipper all over, it's not coming out right. It's bad. It's insanely bad. And then the chick will go to put the hot towel on you, and it's like she's just everywhere with it. Like, you need to get it on my face, not on my forehead or my nose. Like, what do you got going on here? I mean, if we're going to do a hot towel on the forehead, too, I'm cool with that, but it's predominantly for the beard area, and you're not shaving me because you got a shaky hand.
Great, Jock. Now Lady Jane's will not be a sponsor of the Detroit Sports Podcast. Okay, so I've never been.
Maybe they've gotten better. I mean, this was like 7 years ago. I mean, the one chick who cut my dad's hair, she's a little bit older broad, kind of like had that MILF persona going on. Wasn't too bad, and she was strong up top, if you catch what I'm saying. She's kind of cute in the face, too. But the chick who cut my hair it was bad. So
when are you thinking about embarking on your first appointment with the stylist?
Soon? Like real soon? Like, I can't handle... This is way too long in the back for me and on the sides. It's bad. So as soon as the wife figures out someplace for me to go, because I'm going to be honest with you, man, I can't look to find a stylist. I don't even know what to look for. I don't even know what I'm searching for here. Like, what do I punch into the Google machine? I have no idea. I am totally dumb to this whole entire world out there, I guess. I mean, for a barbershop, the guys I go to now, my buddy was like, yo, you need a good haircut. Go check this place out. And I was like, all right, great. Before that, it was somebody in my neighborhood. And that was I was referred there by a friend who had a good haircut. And he was like, go check this place out. And I said, all right. And then that guy left. And before that, it was the same lady who cut my hair from the very first time I ever had my hair cut all the way up until I was like 20. So for 20 years, she cut my hair. And then she left. She went to Tennessee. And I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Since then, it's only been 2 other guys. I don't know what to do. So soon, we'll leave it at soon. You know what I'll do? This is what I'll do. I'll do a before selfie while I'm at the salon, and then I'll do an after selfie while I'm at the salon, and I will tag you. I'll tag at Detroit Podcast in it, and we'll send it out there, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. Okay. If people want to make fun, feel free.
I look forward to it, man.
People like it, thumbs up me. If not, whatevs.
Can they fix your face at the stylist?
Yeah, that's cool. Whatever, dude. We'll see what we can do.
All right, man. We're right in the middle of the what they call the slowest sports week. We just passed the All-Star game. It was very entertaining. It was more entertaining than in years past. I thoroughly enjoyed it. David Price got the win. It was a decent game. The AL continues their All-Star game dominance. I mean, no matter what park they're in, I think they've won several. They've won, I think, the last 3 in a row. And now the AL the American League will have home field for the World Series. And, if the Tigers get their heads out of their asses and play better coming out of the All-Star break, maybe they go on that run like similar teams like St. Louis when they got to the playoffs as a wild card with like mid-80s wins and take care of business. But now I'm pretty happy when you look at the pitching breakdown with the Tigers going forward. It's going to be, I believe, I think it's Sanchez, Price, Verlander, or something like that, the top 3 pitchers starting off in the series versus Baltimore. And they're only 44 and 44 as well. So we got a decent chance to come out to win 2 out of 3 versus Baltimore. It's going to be important because that Friday night game versus Minnesota was really a telltale sign. It was one of those things where most people don't believe in momentum carrying over. They don't believe in momentum carrying from game to game. But we were on the verge of going up, winning the first 2 games in that series versus Minnesota. That game was really a game that could be a significant detriment to the Tigers because it deflated the team. We went on to lose the next 3 games, and it was just quite awful. It was just really, have you seen a game like that in the last couple years where we had the momentum and we just lost it at the end?
Dude, I was sitting there following that game, and I had to go to work on Saturday morning, and I was like, it's 6-0. I was like, we got this. No big deal. There was, 2 innings left, I think, when I went to bed. When I finally said, okay, I had enough. I got to go to bed. I'm tired. Because on Fridays, I was just dragging, just done. So I crawl in bed. I wake up the next morning, and I have 900 notifications on my phone. And they're all basically the hitting and the scoring drives for the Minnesota Twins. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. They put up a couple runs. I was like, what was the final score? It's all right if Rondon comes in and gives up a couple. As long as they get the W, I don't care at this point. I go and I look, I find the final score. I was like, 8-6? You gave up 8 runs in what I guess amounted to 2 innings there?
Oh my God!
Dude, your season's over. The season's over. While looking over my phone in the kitchen, I said their season is done. There is nothing left. They're done. They're cooked. And then they went out the next 2 games and proved me right, scoring a total of 6 total runs in 2 games while giving up 16. They're done. There is nothing left for this team.
And right now across Detroit, there was an article in Detroit News, I believe, that said the viewership at Fox Sports has gone down, I think, 5 to 7% from last year. But the Tigers continue to remain, in terms of regional markets, the 3rd most watched, I think, behind St. Louis and Kansas City. Kansas City is just over 100% more viewership than last year. But we're still 3rd in terms of regional markets, in terms of watching the Tigers. So there's still support, but I do believe a lot of people have kind of looked at them and said, you know what, I don't want to invest in a team that's probably going to break our hearts. And when you look at the Tigers, unless you're really a diehard and you're a glutton for punishment, it's going to be tough to ride this one out because you, in essence, have to win. You have to be about 12 to 13 games over 500 for the rest of the year just to get to 88 wins.
Dude, you got to play 600 ball from here on out.
It's going to be tough.
You got to do it. Coming out of the All-Star break, you got a 3-game set against Baltimore, a 4-game set against Seattle. These are games that you have to win. You've got to win these games. You got to go in, you got to sweep Baltimore. You got Seattle coming in. You got to take 3 out of 4 from Seattle. You can't just be happy splitting or losing these series against these teams. You've got to start winning these, and you've got to do it at a large clip if you want to be relative. And July 31st is right around the corner. Right around the corner. I've been on the sell train for a while. I was sitting there and I said, you know what? If they really are serious and they think they might be a contender, go out early, get a couple pieces, and see how it works out. See how it kind of breaks down over the next, 13, 14 days, and see what you get after the All-Star break and see how it'll all kind of slot itself out. But you know what? At this point, after that Friday game, I don't care. Sell everything. Sell everything. I've got 3 or 4 players that are untouchable. Everybody else, get rid of, get some prospects in here, and let's start the rebuild. And the cool thing about baseball is there's no salary cap, and there are a ton of free agents out there. So you get some prospects in here. You trade off what you got. Get some prospects in here. And if Mr. Ilitch is willing to open up the checkbook again, go out there and make a bid for some of these free agents. Get a couple guys in here and just kind of start it all over again. It's almost like going back out and overpaying for Pudge Rodriguez and starting from there. Because if you look, that's kind of where all this started. It started with the overpayment of Pudge Rodriguez to come in here, got him. Next thing you know, we're playing for a couple World Series, but getting our butts handed to us during it. So just blow it up and start over next year. Start over right now. Start over on July 31st. Blow it out. The only guys I'm not willing to get rid of are Miguel Cabrera, Jose Iglesias. I'm willing to keep JD Martinez, but if you make me an offer for something really good, I'll let you take him. That's really about it. James McCann, I'll even keep James McCann because I think he's got some potential. But everybody else you can have.
Does it make you have any concern that Dave Dombrowski has not gotten his extension yet? Now, the last contract that he signed in August of 2011. But if you're the Ilitches and you're the Tigers organization, do you put trust that Dave Dombrowski is going to negotiate in good faith? Because now, let's say, for example, there's a good offer, a decent offer for Price to go to the Angels, who are kind of now rumored to be in the market for a Dave Dombrowski should he become available. Do you trust that, well, hey, are we going to get the decent amount and the right amount for a David Price, knowing potentially that Dave Dombrowski could be out the door? So I think it's kind of interesting that Dave Dombrowski is kind of being looked at and kind of being thought of as a lame duck general manager. So how do you decide buy or sell when your general manager is still in flux? I think they should have had that taken care of first.
You're absolutely
Get
right.
your ducks in a row, then you can trust Dombrowski to move forward to reconstruct this team.
You're absolutely right. Spot on point. Spot on point. How does Dave Dombrowski go ahead and negotiate in good faith on the behalf of the Tigers organization? He says he will, but how does he do that? Because he doesn't know where he's going to be at next year. Will he be with the Tigers or will he be with the Angels? You know, will he be, I don't know, in Tampa Bay? Will he be in Philadelphia? Where will he be? He doesn't know. So how does he go ahead and sit there and trade off whatever it is he wants to trade off here to try to get some pieces back? So you're going to basically trade off some Tigers, whatever we have, nuts and bolts, because you do a real shit job drafting, to a team, we'll say like the Angels, who have a really good farm system. So you're going to sit there, you're going to try to get some of their pieces. So now if you move to the Angels, you've just basically cut your nose off to spite your face because you've just weakened your farm system. For what good reason? How does he go about his business to sit there and try to conduct these trades on behalf of the Tigers in good faith? I don't think you can. I think the Tigers have botched this season from the get-go. This season was live or die, win the World Series, and that's it. There was no talk about possibly getting the extension done for Dave Dombrowski. Hasn't happened. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen. So now you've got a lame dunk general manager who might not be here. I mean, he's been here for what? Almost 12 years now? 14 years? He's been here for a while. And we've basically accomplished, I'm going to say it, we've accomplished nothing. I don't care about 5 division championships. What the hell is that? That just means you're a loser because you don't win a World Series. Who cares? So great. You took us from losing 112 games to sitting there losing in the biggest game of all. We still won nothing. We've got nothing.
Yeah, Jarvie the King and I discussed it on the recent Motor City Sports Rant podcast. Is Dave Dombrowski's tenure looked upon as a success if he does not win a World Series ring? And the issue is this, though. You got to remember, the Tigers were a team that was just god-awful in the basement, in the dweller. They were losing year after year after year, and they were trying so many different things to rebuild the team. My main point was it's a little bit easier when you have the money to build a team. It's really, really challenging to maintain success. And that's what I think that the challenge and the weakness of Dave Dombrowski has been, is now he hasn't been able to kind of deconstruct the team, move some pieces, and have continued success. Yes, give him credit. Give the Detroit Tigers credit for getting to the playoffs that many years in a row. But yes, at the same time, you have to be fair in your analysis. We did not win it all. And you had a couple chances where you were pretty much some favorites back in 2006 and 2012. And you didn't play well. You didn't show up. The Giants were not expected to beat us, let alone come into the World Series and sweep us. So right then and there, you got to realize, okay, what's it going to take for us to get over the hump? And most people would say fix the bullpen, maybe tweak the starting pitching. He went about deconstructing the team in a way that really kind of has set them back a couple years. And that's not good. So that's why this season is, I don't know if the Ilitches are going to be willing to take on a lot more talent in order to make that push. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I don't think, from my assessment, I don't believe this team has a 10 to 12 game winning streak in them. I think they're going to win 4 or 5, lose 4 or 5. I just think they're in that 80 to 85 win range. So I don't see why they would buy, because in the end, when you really evaluate it, this is not a team that's going to win the World Series. So you look to you just, that's why I keep saying stand pat, don't buy or sell. If you buy, you're going to add a bunch of payroll. You're going to get probably guys that are rentals. You're going to give up pieces that you're going to have to give up pieces from the starting team now. You're not going to, who are you going to give up? So anyone that's going to trade with you is going to want an Iglesias, is going to want a McCann, J.D. Martinez. They're going to want a starting player to get something, to get like a Johnny Cueto or to get a Chapman or to get one of these guys that can help you. Anybody, and plus two, there's going to be 5, 6 other teams that can offer you something. You don't have enough. So just stand pat, ride it out, hope that Miguel Cabrera plays well, hope the starting pitching can do something for you and see what happens. And then if it doesn't work out, maybe potentially you move Dave Dombrowski and start all over.
I'm sorry, it was 119 losses that they had that awful season back in, I believe it was 2003. But if you stand pat, you're going to have a guy like David Price, Yoenis Cespedes walk out the door. All you're going to do is you're going to get that bonus draft pick, but you see what Dave Dombrowski does with that. They had a bonus draft pick this year, and in my opinion, he botched that. I felt like he reached. He went and drafted a pitcher who was like the 58th overall player in the draft, and he drafted him high in the first round. So I don't like that idea either. Honestly, man, I really feel like they have nothing in this farm system. It's been noted time and time again by Baseball America and people who are much smarter in the sport of baseball than you and I combined. We can even throw Jarvie and Vinny in there and everybody else. Much smarter than you and I. And they said that the Tigers have the worst minor league system in all of baseball. So why don't you go out there and Mr. I needs to go to Dave Dombrowski and be like, look, you got to move these guys. You got to. We've got to rebuild the farm system. Whether you're going to be here or not, you need to move these guys and you need to get something for us here.
Speaking of someone who needs a stylist.
Right. That dude's got great hair. Looks like Bozo the Clown. But they have to move they have to move guys. They have to, because if David Price walks out that door, it's just like Max Scherzer all over again, right? Yoenis Cespedes walks out that door just like Max Scherzer, but he's a player. So now you've got a hole in the outfield to fill. They don't have the pieces. They have nothing in that minor league system to be able to bring up. So you go out, you make a couple moves, you bring a couple guys in, and maybe you don't see the initial return right away. But 2-3 years down the road, when you're possibly again in a much better spot and you're competing for a World Series, you can pull these pieces up and these pieces will be productive for you. I mean, because at this point, I don't think they're winning anything. I mean, do you really believe they're winning anything?
No.
Okay, so we both agree they're not winning anything this year. All right? I don't think they're winning anything next year. Do you think they're winning anything next year?
Year to year, depending on who you add on.
It's depending on free agency, right?
Right. Now, I got a question for you.
Okay.
A lot of people who are optimistic will say they're only 3.5 games back of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple teams that have been involved in the World Series came from that wild card, and you have 15 games left in the month of July. Do you think this team, if they go maybe 8-7, if they go 9-6, if they can maybe make a run and go 10-5, do you think that number range, 8, 9, 10 wins, will be enough to show the organization, okay, yes, let's add on pieces? Because it's going to take time for the team to gel. It's going to take time for the team to play at its peak. So I don't think in 15 games you can honestly assess if the team is going to be at its peak point. They will make moves. It's just they're going to be B and C level talent just to try to mix things up. Maybe a 3 or 4 star pitcher, starter, someone in the bullpen. But I don't think the moves that they're going to make will move the needle in any sort of direction. That's my opinion. There's 15 games left in this month. I think 8-7 probably is reaching, in my opinion.
Starting from July 17th to we'll go July 30th, because that puts you at the deadline on July 31st. This team's going to have to go 12-2 if I'm adding any pieces. 12-2. I mean, do you see them doing that? I sure as hell don't. You said they're stretching at 8-6?
8-7, yeah.
8-7. They're stretching for that, right?
Based on how they play,
dude.
Up and down team.
At this point, I say sell off, add some pieces to your farm system, go out in the offseason and add some free agents and start this rebuild. You've got nothing. You know what you got? You got a Miguel Cabrera, you got a Jose Iglesias, you got a James McCann, and if you want to keep J.D. Martinez, you got a J.D. Martinez to build around. So you've got some pieces. You have some cornerstone pieces, but you have nothing in your minor league system. Nothing to bring along in a year or two.
Okay.
Right? So go out, get a couple pieces for a year or two. In free agency, go out there and grab some guys who can help make an immediate impact, right? And I'm not saying you've got to win your division the next 2 years. You need to be competitive in the division because you damn sure aren't competitive right now. I know they're 3 games out of the wild card, but come on, man. How many games are you behind?
9. Kansas City
at this point.
9 games.
I mean, that's insane, right? That's crazy. You're 3rd in the AL behind Minnesota.
Yeah, our goals have changed. That's why I want to ask you, what is the realistic now goals for the Tigers in the second half of the season? Do you think that the Tigers in the second half after the All-Star break will reassess everything, will play at a better clip, will play 600 ball in the second half? Because look, if they come out and they surprise everybody and they play significantly better and they get on a hot streak, then maybe you add those two pieces and you have a chance to, in August and September, play very well. You remember they did a couple of seasons back, come back from, I think, 4 or 5 games back in the division and made a run. I think it was versus the White Sox, who were on top at the time. So they have done it, but Kansas City is way better than Chicago and Cleveland back in the day. Kansas City right now is solid. I don't think we can honestly look at it and say we have a legitimate chance to win the division. I think our ceiling right now is to get into the wild card. That's our ceiling right now.
I think that's what you shoot for. I think that's where you hope to end up. I don't think they're going to do it, though. Let's be honest. You're not getting your best player, Miguel Cabrera, back until sometime middle of August, somewhere right around August 15th. So you've already have played, I think at that point, 3 or 4 series against Kansas City. Actually, no, you played two series against Kansas City at that point. You need to win those. You need to go out and you need to win those series. And I just don't see them matching up well with Kansas City right now. I think Kansas City has their number, and I think Kansas City will probably end up winning 4 of those 6 games, which now you just stretched your 9 games into, 13 games? Possibly? That's if you play 500 ball from here on out, and Kansas City plays 500 ball from here on out? I don't see it happening. I don't see there being any light at the end of this tunnel. The only thing you can hope for is that next year is much better, and the year after that's much better.
Yeah, and we're getting, thank you to all those who have been watching us on Periscope. We greatly appreciate it. It's very good. Thank you we are seeing all the messages, all the hearts. Thank you very much. Some points being made are, since Miguel has gone down, we do have enough offensive talent to have success. It's just right now the pitching has been inconsistent. And
here's something to counter that, though. How long will that hot streak from the bats continue? Because these hitters are really unproven. The guys that they've got in there, they're just they're minor league guys. These are like 4A players that they've brought up. And there's no tape on these guys. Once there's a little bit of tape on these guys and the pitching staffs that they're going up against know how to pitch around them, it's all over from there. It's just like, what's his name? The redhead, Chris Shelton. It's like the Chris Shelton effect. Chris Shelton came up and the guy was hot for like 2 months, 3 months. And then where? He was nowhere to be found. You couldn't get him in a Tigers jersey because he couldn't even hack it in AAA. And that's kind of what I feel like is going on with these guys that they've just kind of brought in. Was it Marte? They've gone out and they've picked up these guys who just kind of off the scrap heap, and they just kind of plugged them in. And yeah, they've got some real good effect initially. Their first game, I think both these guys that they've just gone out and they've picked up have hit home runs. But how long does that last?
Cespedes, JD, Victor, Kinsler. Now if Castellanos continues to pick it up, then they can maintain that consistency. Now you just need them. What we need for the hitting and the pitching to be in sync. And that's going to be the toughest part, is that there are some games where we have hitting and the pitching is atrocious. The series versus Minnesota is a perfect example. We were dominant pitching versus Minnesota. And then that second game, the bullpen blew it. And I just think that if there's 5 to 10% improvement across the board, hitting, pitching, managing, making better choices, then this team has a chance. And that's why, because I think they have guys that are proven offensively. The pitching is going to be the issue. The pitching in the bullpen is going to be the anchor of this team and potentially could be the downfall. If JV doesn't get it together, or if Green and Simon continue to struggle that much, then you're going to have some difficulties consistently winning series and games. That's why it's going to be the toughest part. I think the pitching has been a surprise, and the turn that they've taken has been quite surprising, the starting pitching for sure.
I think you're going to need a lot more than 5% coming from your manager. Your manager has done nothing but put this team in bad spots over and over and over again. You got Justin Verlander out there pitching a whale of a game. He's sitting there 116 pitches deep. This is his 4th game coming back. This is his second game after sitting there coming off of back tightness after throwing, another 116 pitches? This manager has done nothing but put these players in spots where they can't succeed or where it doesn't help this team. I think this manager has been the result of at least, I'd say, 7 to 10 losses for this team thus far this season. And we're only halfway through. That's insane. Okay, 7 to 10 losses. If you sit there and you move those over into the win column, you're now in first place in this division. And you're talking about a team that's been hotly contested then. Come on now. you need more from Brad Ausmus. You need a lot more. He needs to put these guys in better spots.
Well, okay, so let's pull out your crystal ball. Do you think that the Jock's crystal ball coming on out, do you think the Tigers' second half of the season will be successful and will be playing in that wild card game?
I'm going to actually shake it. It's a magic 8 ball. Let's be honest here. It says outlook not so good.
Oh,
outlook not so good. That's what it says.
Okay, so now at what point do you say, you know what, I can't watch this anymore, invest anymore? Some people have already. They're 9 games out. Let's say they get to 11, 12 games out, and they start slow, and Kansas City continues to be on fire. Do you stick with them? You diehard fan, or are you jumping off that bandwagon quick?
Dude, I've already been on the fringe with this team because they've been so brutal. I sit there and I just periodically check in. So we're talking about me not periodically checking in anymore. I'll periodically check in the whole entire season because I'll watch what's going on. I need to know what's going on. I'm too invested in this team to not sit there and at least keep one eye on them. Will I keep my other eye on them? No, that'll be someplace else.
Okay,
but
so
throughout the entire season, I'll have at least one eye watching them.
Okay, before we wrap up the Tigers talk, and it's good, we've been going about 30 minutes here talking Tigers, the hashtag Stay Positive group will be those led by JV and maybe myself, who will say, okay, we've gotten Neftali Felice, who's come in.
That guy had a whole solid 2 years over in Texas.
Right now, the Tigers are loading up on the Texas Rangers closers. And we've decided that that's the organization's closers that we're going to raid, each and every one. So, you know, the closers there, look out, we're scouting you. He came in his first game, didn't give up too many hits, didn't look like a train wreck.
Do you not hear what you're saying?
Listen, hashtag stay positive.
Hashtag stay positive.
Hashtag stay positive. He came in, he's an addition. You know, he came in, he was okay. You have the offense that can light it up. If the pitchers can come back strong and get outs, and they make a couple more moves, then maybe this team can get on a run with their moxie. Do you think this Tiger team can flip the switch and just go on a run? Maybe they're just waiting. Maybe they just they've been front runners in the past. Maybe they just want to flip the script and hey, take care of business at the end.
This is the problem with you. You're a half glass full kind of guy.
Yeah, why not?
Look at the glass. It's half full. No, I'm totally different. I'm coming in, I'm breaking through that wall like I'm the Kool-Aid man. I'm grabbing your glass and I'm smashing it. And I'm telling you, this is what's wrong with your team. We suck. Sell now.
All right. I want to say, though, that's been good. Over the course of our Tiger Talk, we've added viewers on Periscope. So thank you to the comments. We're going to come back later on Periscope. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to play a round of the Doctors in Session. And to end the podcast, we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions. Stay with us. Detroit Sports Podcast, Doc and Jock, episode 101. All right, cuz, let's check in with one of our favorite sponsors, Sport Displays Jersey Mount. The Sport Displays Jersey Mount are the easiest and most affordable way to proudly show off your favorite jersey, uniform, sweater, t-shirt, or costume. With its unique design, Sport Display Jersey Mounts are the only hangers on the market that can be mounted to any surface. This allows for easy access to your favorite jersey on game day by simply snapping the rod into or out of the holder. If you have a Steve Yzerman jersey, he not only is a great executive, you want to hang up his Detroit Red Wing jersey in your office, simply snap the jersey mount on and off. It's easy to use. The jersey mount really adds to any man cave. Sport Display jersey mounts are affordable, easy to install. They can be mounted anywhere to both wall or ceiling. If you want, go to jerseymount.com/Detroit-sports-podcast and get a jersey mount and get 5% off. Visit jerseymount.com and check out a really great product that really adds to any man cave. jerseymount.com. Get 5% off. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Lots of ways to support us here at the podcast. If you like what you're listening to, if you enjoy the podcast, if you want us to continue to provide great content every Monday and Thursday, if you want us to continue to take phone calls, just go to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links. Lots of great online deals. I know everybody that's listening likes to save money. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links, bookmark them, and every time you shop online, nothing extra happens. You get charged no more money. But when you shop online through DetroitSportsPodcast.com, they kick us back a little something, and we can continue to provide great content. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We greatly appreciate it. Yes, sir.
That's right. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for downloading another episode of the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast, covering all things Detroit sports and covering the Jock's new desire to improve his looks and style. Man talk, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
That's right.
And the good thing is people have started to notice the quality of our podcast. We are chasing several great interviews. Hopefully they come to fruition. Lots of podcasts popping up. That's the great thing about podcasts. We can do it at any time. We are bound by nothing, and it's uncensored, unfiltered, dedicated to Detroit sports, and we love doing it week after week. Right now, we're going to play a round of The Doctor is in Session. Jock has prepared several great questions. I know that usually when I do Jock Jams, I limit it to 3 questions, but Jock comes in with 3 to 5 questions because he knows that I'm ready to deliver. There's so much going on in the world of sports that the Jock just has to get my opinion, and he knows that if he just throws out a topic, I can go and talk all about it and give strong opinions. So this is what we call The Doctor is in Session.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here, I'm the man. Woo!
All right, buddy. The Home Run Derby took place the other day, and by all accounts, ultra successful. I want to know if you feel the same way and what your thoughts on the new format for the Home Run Derby was, and would you like to see that moving forward?
How lucky for baseball that there was inclement weather in Cincinnati, because originally they had thought that they wanted to have a clock but have it be 5 minutes long. But they checked the weather reports, and everyone was kind of concerned and worried. Was there going to be an All-Star Game Home Run Derby? Was the weather going to wash it all out? And so they said, you know what, let's just cut it to 4 minutes. And it made it one of the most exciting home run derbies in a long time. I thought that Major League Baseball backed into a great thing. The Home Run Derby became stale. I didn't watch literally the last 5 home run derbies. They weren't interesting, and they just dragged on and on and on with the whole 10-strike format, so they would take their time.
Couldn't handle Chris Berman going, big, 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 big. I just wish he would just die.
I did not have 3.5 hours to dedicate to the home run derby.
Yeah.
And so the 4-minute clock aspect made it super exciting. There were several times when I think Pujols got a chance to tie it or go ahead, and he got the clock caused him to win. Then the hometown guy, Todd Frazier, became only the second guy to win the home run derby in his hometown. And Ryan Sandberg did that back in Chicago, and he did it. It was very exciting. I liked the change of having brackets. Made it very interesting to match up versus another player. The part I didn't like, the only drawback I had was who was the entrance. You know, Albert Pujols, 35 as a 1 seed. He was up there swinging, and it looked like he could have died out there. He was laboring. It looked like he was like, you know, those UFC fighters who go in there and they just throw so many punches. He looked like he gassed out trying to hit so many home runs. He was the 1 seed. I just think that everything surrounding the home run derby was exciting. It was a plus. They should keep it. Now you just have to have the 8 guys who are hitting the most home runs. You can't just pick and choose. You just kind of wished. And I know we talked about it, but I did kind of wish maybe how J.D. Martinez would have shook out in the event. He had 25 home runs, and he's not in there. And so people would say, well, who would you take out? You're not going to take out Chris Bryant. You're not going to take out Pujols. I think the one guy, potentially you could have, you know, when you saw the 8 seeds, Machado. That was easy if you wanted to slide him out and put in J.D. Then you could have had a decent 8 guys for the competition. But overall, Major League Baseball backed into something great. It was very exciting start to finish. I enjoyed it. I think they should continue that. And now, taking it further, I think the other sports got to do something too. The slam dunk contest needs something maybe similar. The NHL skills competition's kind of fading. The Pro Bowl, I don't think they do a skills competition, or if it is, I've never watched it. So the other sports need to also tinker their all-star game activities to make it a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more exciting, because it's tough nowadays because there's so much other things you can do. But home run derby, thumbs up, keep it at 4 minutes, keep the clock, keep the brackets, just get the right guys in the mix.
I think you're absolutely right. They totally backed into something great, and this might be the resurgence of the home run derby. I think it was awesome. Sticking with baseball, it was in Cincinnati, home of Pete Rose. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not he should be allowed back in baseball, be allowed to be around the game, and more specifically, in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts?
The whole issue of Pete Rose has been much debated. It's not one of those things where you haven't had a chance. If you know anything about sports, this is one of the most hotly debated topics, because Pete Rose is the hits leader, has well over 4,000 hits. He was a great gamer. He was a guy that a lot of people gravitated towards, and they still do. But he broke a cardinal rule in baseball. The rule was you do not gamble on baseball. And if you do get caught, the rules explicitly states, if you get caught gambling on baseball, you are banned for life. It's not banned for life plus 30 years and let fans steadily forgive you. It's banned for life. Now, there's two parts to that. The initial investigation comes out. There's rumors coming out. Oh, Pete Rose got caught gambling, da-da-da-da-da. And he vehemently denied it. He was like, I did not gamble. He challenged the former commissioner, Giamatti, to say, catch me, find anything on me that I gambled. Oh, okay, here's the evidence. Boom, we have a meeting. Oh, okay, yeah, well, maybe I gambled. Then he finally admitted it after basically he was cornered, and he covered it up. He got caught, and now for the last 20 years, it's been like this dance of like, well, we'll let Pete Rose in, but oh, more information pops up. Just recently, if you pay attention, he came out and said, oh, there's some now evidence that he bet as a player as well as a manager. Oh, well, now the narrative is, well, he didn't bet, he never bet Cincinnati to lose. Don't give a flying fuck. He broke the rules, and there was a strict punishment. I think what needs to happen is, if you break the rules, you need to own up to the punishment. He is making a killing signing autographs. He is kind of weaseling his way back and forth into the arenas. He's working at Fox Sports. They've let him come back and talk about the game. He's done basically everything but be reinstated. But in my opinion, you broke the rule. You lied about it. You need to stick by your guns and not... What message would that send? Oh, well, we have rules, but if the fans decide that they don't like the rules, we'll just change them? No, he ruined the integrity of the game. You don't gamble on baseball when you're a manager or player. The reason why people are not so stringent upon it is everyone loves gambling. Everybody loves to gamble, and they don't look down on it. It's one of those things, it's the oldest vice besides prostitution. People love gambling. They don't look upon it as a big deal. Now, had he been, banging prostitutes in the locker room, maybe, hey, they would look down on it. But he gambled. He broke the rules. He lied about it. Stick to your guns and ban him for life and stop with this dance. He's going to get a meeting with the commissioner. The commissioner is going to give him a fair shake. I just don't think that it sends a positive message in any way. Stick to the rule. He broke the cardinal baseball rule. He should be banned for life. Period.
Here's the thing with the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, the reason why you go into the Hall of Fame is because you've done great things within the sport.
If you're allowed to be in the sport.
Here's the deal. He has the major league record for career hits, career singles, career games played, career at-bats, and career plate appearances. On top of that, he's a 3-time World Series champion. He's a 17-time All-Star. He's a 2-time Gold Glove winner. And he's a 3-time batting champ and a Silver Slugger winner. The guy has a laundry list of career accomplishments. The one thing I think you can do with Pete Rose is you can allow him into the Hall of Fame because of what he did on the field. He did a lot of great things on the field. But you sit there and you add a little bit of a blemish to his record. When you sit there and on his bust or on his placard, what you end up doing is you just end up making reference to the fact that this entire scandal, that he was disbarred from the Major League Baseball because of the scandal where he lied about betting on baseball, betting as a manager, betting as a player, where he basically committed the cardinal sin in baseball. He went against the one rule that you're not supposed to do, and he bet on the game and he bet on his teams. And you put that on his placard, and you let that tarnish everything great that he's done. But I don't think you disallow him, because that's a significant chunk of baseball right there. Everything that I read off to you, that's a huge deal. That's a big deal. Those are stats that may never be broken. And the guy who did that's not in the Hall of Fame. You can't walk through the Hall of Fame and you can't see anything that he's ever done because he's not in there.
Listen, this is the day and age of YouTube. This is a day and age of high-quality technology. People don't know who Pete Rose is. He's the hits leader. People have seen him run over that catcher 1,000 times.
He should be included into the Hall of Fame. So when you take your kids through the Hall of Fame in 15, 20, 30 years, you can see different things that he's done.
A Hall of Fame manager.
And then you can explain to him why his record's tarnished.
A Hall of Famer, as a manager, as a player, should not be in the locker room calling up bookies and getting lines and adjusting the numbers and the odds before games. That's just not a good look. And it's not a good look for
I agree with you on that.
You can't listen, if you wanted him in the Hall of Fame, why did you come up with rules that say, hey, if you gamble on baseball, you're banned for life? Because it ruins the integrity of the game. If you're betting on baseball, okay, yeah, he's bet that they would win. But then let's say, for example, he brings on every single bullpen player to try to get that win. then you're ruining the integrity of the game for the next game. He's doing everything he can to win bets. So he's ruining the integrity of the game. So you had the rule. He got caught. Now, listen, I would be a little bit, 10% more willing to open the discussion to have him reinstated in baseball had he not lied and covered it up and fought. You got to remember, the only reasons he came out and started talking about this was when the bank account dwindled.
He needed to sell that book.
And needed to sell that book. Mm-hmm. And he peddled himself and said, okay, yeah, I did it, and here's my story. And now he's basically lived off the autographs for the last several years. So do you believe he genuinely wants to be back in the game? I don't know. I
genuinely believe he wants to be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest switch hitters of all time.
Yeah, shouldn't have gambled.
I think he genuinely wants to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think you take a serious hit in accountability and respect if you do that, in my opinion.
All right. This seems like it's one of those things that will be debated for seemingly forever unless the new commissioner comes up with a ruling and either allows him or holds true to what Bud Selig did. All right, coming back home a little bit, there was this really interesting piece that we both seen online that Detroit Sports Nation posted about taxpayers paying millions and millions of dollars for stadiums, similar to the new Red Wings arena. What are your thoughts on taxpayers paying for these monumental coliseums for sports teams?
Yeah, it was brought to light. John Oliver, a very funny comedian who I find funny, has a show on HBO on Sunday nights called Last Week Tonight. It's very satirical. He's very funny, and he has a strong opinion. And last week's show was dedicated a little bit to sports and stadiums. And the funny thing was, it was kind of like, really? You and I talked about this last March in 2014 because an in-depth article was written basically laying out the Ilitches are making out quite a bit on these deals. And so he did a little skit. He did a little, so John Oliver did a bit, and he basically explained his point of view. And I have the clip. I pulled it. Let's play a little bit of it, and I'll give you my opinion. This is John Oliver from last week's HBO's Last Week Tonight.
And the vast majority of stadiums are built using public money. One analysis found that between 2000 and 2010, we spent $12 billion building new facilities for professional teams, which begs the question, why? Sports teams are successful businesses with wealthy owners, and yet they still get our help. 2 years ago, Detroit got approval to spend more than $280 million in taxpayer money on a new arena project for the Red Wings, just 6 days after the city filed for bankruptcy, even though the Red Wings owner is Mike Ilitch, the founder of the Little Caesars pizza chain, who's worth an estimated $5.1 billion. That's a little hard to swallow. I mean, sure, not as hard to swallow as a Little Caesars crazy bread with an assortment of Caesar dips, but still pretty hard. And we don't just help teams build stadiums. We let them keep virtually all the revenue those stadiums then produce.
Okay, the issue is this. Mike Ilitch is a billionaire. He has the money. But the reason why he's so successful is businessmen know how to save their money, and they know how to reduce their liabilities. And it just goes down to the basic level of, for you and I, if you see a gas station that has gas for $3 a gallon, and right across the street you see it has gas for $2.79 a gallon, you're going to make that right turn unless you're an idiot. Now, on the grander scale, if someone's going to say to you, hey, your stadium costs $500 million, we're going to float $280 of it, and you pay the rest. Are you going to say no? And despite whatever the impact is, wherever the money's coming from, if you're a businessman and you're smart and you have any value of money, you're going to take the deal. And the issue is this. Should owners of professional teams float the bill? In my opinion, they should. If you got billions of dollars and you can afford $500 million, you should pay it. Now, that's money on a different level than what you and I produce on a yearly basis. But the issue is this. The reason why teams and owners get away with it is they threaten potentially to move. They say, well, hey, if you don't get us a new stadium, then we're not going to have success. Then it's going to really drive the economy down. And so who has all the leverage? The owners. And when owners have all the leverage, they take advantage. That's why they get the tax breaks. That's why they can negotiate deals where when they look at the breakdown of who gets all the money, majority of it goes to the owners. Because there is a benefit to the city in terms of jobs, in terms of helping the economy, bring people down to Detroit. And so that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off that we've all accepted. And if you choose to look at it and say, I don't agree, I don't have a problem with that. But the reason why is you go down to the games, you support the local economies, You want a new stadium. Everyone says the Joe's a dump. It smells funny. And everyone wants a brand new stadium. Ooh, look at the roof. It lights up different colors, all the LED. So, Mike Ilitch has an offer on the table. Boom, I need some public funding to get my stadium. Help me out. And that's what the city did. And I don't blame him for doing it. I would do the same thing. But it may be time to start turning the topics a little bit to look at, hey, should we really be emphasizing and putting all that money into and supporting these super rich owners who in the end really is the entertainment dollar? Are the Red Wings watching them going to the stadium worth it for Mike Ilitch to get a subsidy that large? If it is, then you continue to go down there and support the team. But if it's not, I respect that, and I understand the other argument too. These owners are rich, they have the money, and they should maybe pay a larger portion of the amounts for the stadiums.
And with the Wings deal, good and bad there. They took a huge plot of land that nothing was going on with. It was vacant. It was left desolate. And now they're going to try to construct it into something bigger and better and hopefully reinvigorate the city. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's the hope behind it. The only bad thing is they essentially got all that land, which is a huge tax revenue for the city, for pennies on basically the millions of dollars.
It's just bad. Yeah,
there's no tax. There's no tax income coming from that now for the city.
Yeah, and it's bad timing that the city files for bankruptcy. Yet we're going to put up 280. We're going to pay for the stadium. People would say, "Well, why don't you put that into the schools? Why don't you put that into the police, lighting, fixing the infrastructure of all those houses that were torn down?" They'll get to it. It's just right now the priority is and will always be sports.
And that's what we've talked about before with the city. The way to reinvigorate the city
sports
is to get the people inside the city, get the schools back online, and
like
get
I said,
that going.
Unless
stadiums don't necessarily reinvigorate your city.
Unless Mike Ilitch has a V. Stiviano on the side and she makes some racial comments, there's nothing basically that he could do to ruin his leverage. He's a popular owner, has brought us 4 Stanley Cups. He's very reputable, started companies in Michigan. He is a prominent figure. And with that said, that's why he gets the leverage and he gets to have some of the new stadium paid for by the city of Detroit and the taxpayers.
All right. You make no bones about it. You're a Spartan fan. I make no bones about it. I'm a Wolverine fan. I have a question for you about all this noise that's been coming out from the Michigan program this offseason. Is there too much noise around Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan? Recently, there were pictures of him, I guess, on his French vacation.
Yep.
And it's in the newspaper. It's all over the place. After that, there is this horrible interview with
Cowherd.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd. And after that, there's other things that just kind of
camps, his shirt off,
whatever things that keep bubbling up, and just it's noise is all it is. It's just noise.
Yeah, but now here's the reason why I don't think that there's too much noise. Jim Harbaugh is the ultimate Christmas present. People want to know what he's going to bring to the University of Michigan. There were basically 9 months in between the hire and his first game, and everyone wants to know, what is Coach Harbaugh thinking about X, Y, Z? People, when articles are written, are clicking. So if they wouldn't click or pay attention on Twitter, on the websites, and in the articles, they're paying attention. So with that, the newspapers say, okay, you want Jim Harbaugh? I'll feed you Jim Harbaugh. I don't blame him for doing that. Last night on the ESPYs, Caitlyn Jenner received an award, and ESPN has taken some flack, and some debates have happened regarding, well, should Caitlyn Jenner have received that award potentially for being transgendered as opposed to maybe others who might be more deserving? They're going to draw well over, millions and millions of viewers. That's what these companies do. If the Detroit News knew that DocNJock produced that many clicks, like they should know by now, then they'd put us on. But they haven't realized it yet. Maybe I haven't messaged them enough. I haven't trolled them enough. But if it gets
get on your job, John. Get on your job.
If it gets clicks and it draws, then there's going to be coverage. And there's never, I really do subscribe to the old adage: even if it's bad press, it's still good press. So Jim Harbaugh, the coverage has not been too much. He just now needs to we need to kind of start focusing a little bit more on the recruits and the play on the field. The other stuff has been entertaining. I don't find a problem with it. I've clicked it as well. I'm fascinated because, Greg Henson put it in my mind, just a small little tidbit of doubt in my mind. He said, most people believe Jim Harbaugh is going to be successful, but what if he's not? Whew, that'd be so fascinating. What if he's not? And what would happen next? Because the hype has been built up to astronomical levels.
It's huge right now.
It's huge, so I can't wait.
Absolutely
Let's play football. We're going to talk about that next, too, with the Lions. Let's play some football, man. It's about that time.
All right, let's do it.
Good stuff, Jock. Great questions, man. I really enjoyed it. You gave me a chance to really talk about some good stuff.
Yeah, it was like a ton of things on my mind, and I figured I should get these out there with you, and we could have an educated conversation.
Hall of Fame edition of the Doctors in Session. All good. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to end the podcast talking some Detroit Lions. Doc and Jock, episode 101. Stay with us. After the break, we're going to talk Detroit Lions.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U, the official outfitters of Detroit Sports and the Detroit Sports Podcast. Fanatic U has a massive selection of t-shirts, hats, jerseys, all representing Detroit teams. Visit Fanatic U today and check out the wide array of sports merchandise to deck yourself out in the newest and trendiest attire. Represent your favorite teams in style by visiting one of 6 Fanatic U locations in Garden City, Taylor, Southfield, Fraser, Novi, and the newest location on Brush Street in Detroit, directly across from Ford Field, 1 block away from Comerica Park. FanaticU.com is where you need to visit and shop for your friends, family, and yourself when you want the best in Detroit's sports attire. Visit Fanatic U today. FanaticU.com, the official outfitters of Detroit sports.
Doc here for DetroitSportsNation.com. Please go and check out their website dedicated to Detroit sports. They have great articles, great writers who are dedicated to providing great content for the city of Detroit and all the Detroit teams. DetroitSportsNation.com has a huge presence here on the podcast because they have great writers. We've had them on our podcast talking about all the issues regarding the Detroit teams. They are very dedicated and they're very passionate, and that's why we were drawn to them. They have been very supportive of us. You can go to DetroitSportsNation.com/podcasts, and you can find the Doc and Jock podcast, the Motor City Sports Rant podcast. They have been so kind enough to host our podcast, and by going to their website, you give them support too, and you can read great articles, strong opinions regarding all Detroit teams 24/7. Other organizations are downsizing. DetroitSportsNation.com is looking to expand all the time. Please do us a favor, support those who support us. Visit DetroitSportsNation.com.
You're the future of our business, and I know when you guys have a podcast like this, our future is in good hands.
You got to check out their stuff. I mean, I'm really impressed by it. You guys have probably one of the better ones I've seen in the country.
Wow.
In a short period of time, you've done good work. Look at me kissing your face.
I know.
My man, Doc and Jock, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We greatly appreciate those who have been finding us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, the Detroit Sports Nation website. If you like what you're listening to, if you like the Motor City Sports Rant show every Monday, if you like the Doc and Jock podcast, just tell someone. That's how we continue to grow this thing. We are about to add 2 new episodic weekly podcasts. We're going to add a weekly podcast dedicated to Detroit Tigers baseball talk exclusively, hosted by Vito Churko. And then, starting in August, we're planning it out now, we are going to add a fantasy football show, a weekly show dedicated to fantasy football on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. We've heard everybody say we love fantasy talk. We like podcasts dedicated to the sports exclusively, and we've heard you out there. So we're going to add 2 new podcasts to the network. Look for it at the end of the month, and you can follow us at Detroit Podcast on Twitter. That's the easiest way to get information about what the goings on of this crazy project that we started in September of 2013.
Ask and you shall receive. We'll give you what you want.
Yes, sir. And right now, people are not wanting to talk about the Tigers. They're wanting to talk about football. We're all jonesing. We're all missing. We're all getting the withdrawals from football. So let's talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my man. Have you been missing football enough to kind of say, okay, let's peek in with what the hell these Detroit Lions are doing?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, dude. I sit there and I read everything I can read from the local papers. I find myself watching just hours upon hours of NFL Live on ESPN. Anything and everything I can get my hands on, I'm watching. I miss football so bad. They've got this whole entire thing figured out, man. They basically run it 365 days a year, but they give you just a little bit to kind of help keep you coming back, just a little bit, and then bam, August, September hits, and you're just covered in NFL butter, dude.
Yeah.
Great.
And right now, the storylines are picking up. How are the Lions going to react to the loss of Sue? Is Haloti Ngata going to provide any sort of replacement and effectiveness. Who's going to step up for this team on defense? How is the offense led by Matthew Stafford going to look? It's going to be great to talk about. So let's start with this. In 2015, there's going to be a shift. I believe the team is going to play very well on defense. I believe there's going to be an offensive shift. They're going to look to kind of run the ball a little bit more, look to have a little bit more balance. Just early on, your impressions of the shift of the Lions. Do you feel like they're going to be more of a balanced, complete team, or do you feel like the defense is still going to be consistently better than the offense?
Because of the moves that were made in the offseason, and especially right around the draft, I think they're going to be a much more balanced team. But that being said, it's because the offense has gotten better while the defense has taken a step back. I don't think this defense is going to be as potent as it was last year. I don't think it's going to be as dominating as it was last year. I think bringing Haloti Ngata in, I think it's kind of was a Band-Aid for what kind of turned out to be a bullet wound. And I think it'll be fine, and I think it'll work. I just don't think it's going to have the maximum impact that a guy like Ndamukong Suh had on that defensive line. Now, the offensive line, this is what I'm most excited about in 2015. They totally revamped that O-line. Totally revamped it. It was almost like they sat there, blew it up, started from scratch, and they rebuilt it into this awesome Frankenstein-like monster that I can't wait to see get on the field. I think this offensive line is going to provide the protection for Matthew Stafford so he can get the ball downfield to Golden Tate and to Megatron. And I think it's going to also allow for us to have a running game, which means the offense is going to be much more balanced than it was before. I mean, this was an offense that basically threw for over 60% of the time. I think now you're going to see a much more, almost a 50-50 split where they're going to be able to run the ball to set up the pass. Or if that's not working, be able to pass the ball to set up the run. So I think this offensive line is now going to give them some flexibility on the offensive front.
Do you think Dope Wheezy at Periscope wants to know, do you believe Joique Bell will be the starter? It's been up in the air a little bit, but I do believe Joique Bell will be the guy behind center, behind Matthew Stafford, opening game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be Joique Bell. You're going to look at Amir Abdullah. He's probably going to be your change of pace back. He'll be the guy who comes in on third downs. When there's a passing option out of the backfield, he'll probably be in there. So look for Joique Bell to be your starter, Amir Abdullah to be your number 2, and then probably Theo Riddick to be your third option at running back.
Now, Joique Bell has been outspoken, and I like that. He's shown some bravado. He said, I believe if I reach my potential, if I play well, if the offensive line plays well, I should be able to get 1,200 yards rushing from scrimmage this year. You believe that? I would think, based on the Lions' history last year and the fact that they got a little bit under 4 yards a carry, they were ranked well in the bottom of yards per carry last year. I would think he's going to be in that range of 900 to 1,100, in my opinion.
I think you're right about you're right there. I think he'll do over 1,000, which would be nice because it's been a while since we've had a legitimate 1,000-yard rusher. Last year he had 860 yards. So expecting 340 more yards, that seems like a lot. That really does. It seems like a lot. I guess when you break it down over the course of a couple games, it's only like 20 yards more per game. But then again, that's a lot. So I think he'll probably be in between 1,000 and 1,100. I do see that being a possibility. Like I said, that offensive line, the restructuring of it, and what they're looking to do. From everything I understand that Jim Caldwell wants to do, he wants that to be a mauling offensive line. He wants those guys to be able to run defensive lines over and open up huge gaps for guys like Joique Bell and Amir Abdullah. And I think you're seeing what he wants come to fruition here.
Yeah, and when you say what excites you about the team, I'm looking to see the progression of guys that weren't featured last year. Maybe a Kyle Van Noy. Does he come in and learn the system? And does a Ziggy Ansah continue his progress? I mean, he had 8 sacks his first year, 7.5 his second year. So he had just a tiny reduction. Can he take that next step and become a superstar? And I'm excited to see that defense and the linebacking core. I think a DeAndre Levy has been underrated for a little bit, and I think he's due for a big season. He's going to want that big contract, and I'm hoping that he does what it takes to continue to have success and be that force on defense. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing the linebackers, how they do, how are they able to stop the run, and I'm looking to see if Ziggy Ansah can make that next step and maybe be a guy that can get 10 sacks and consistently pressure the quarterbacks. Because when the quarterbacks get into a rhythm, forget it. If you let Aaron Rodgers get into a rhythm, forget it. You have no chance.
I think that's funny because I think that might be the biggest weakness on this team going forward, especially for 2015. That back seven benefited so very much from having Ndamukong Suh and having a dominant offensive front. Now, I know you're putting Haloti Ngata in there and you're expecting the same thing, but I don't believe you're going to get the same exact consistency that you got from Ndamukong Suh. And I don't think other offensive lines are going to look to double team Haloti Ngata like they did with Ndamukong Suh. So I think that back seven, I think there's going to be some weakness there. I think that you're going to kind of see some things exposed that maybe weren't there last year. I like what you say about DeAndre Levy. I think that guy's due a payday, and I like him a lot. And the Lions need to go out there and they need to figure out some type of extension to keep him here because you don't want to lose that guy. But there was a lot of pieces that changed on that D-line, and that's going to have an effect on the linebacking core in the secondary. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's going to be a problem going forward. I think that Jim Caldwell's a smart enough coach to be able to recognize a weakness, and as well as Terrell Austin be able to recognize a weakness and then go and correct it. But I think for probably your first 4 games, you're going to see a questionable back seven.
Okay, so then that would lead me to believe that you don't think the Lions defense is going to rank in the top 5 next year. Like I said, and I've said it on previous podcasts, I was so pleasantly surprised and thrilled to see the Lions have a top 5 defense, a defense that got turnovers, that was able to get extra offensive possessions. I liked seeing that. And when the news started and the rumors started that Terrell Austin was being considered as a head coach, I was like, no, stay in Detroit, stay another year. Let us be able to continue this progress and let his assistants learn under him so that if he leaves after this season, we can continue with the staff members that are on his staff. I think maybe they do take a step back and end up in that 5 to 10 range in terms of the defense.
I think they'll be top 10. I don't think they'll be top 5. And I do think there's going to be a step back, but I think the message is still there. I think the message is clear. The message is get to the quarterback, cause turnovers, recover turnovers, force plays, make things happen, recover the ball, get the ball back downfield, get it into our offense's hands. And I think that message will stay, and I think that'll be the same. And I think Terrell Austin's a good enough coach to recognize what he lost with a guy like Ndamukong Suh and all the changing parts on that defensive line, that he's able to sit there and plug new guys in like a Haloti Ngata and be able to get production out of those guys. I just don't think it's going to be at the grand scale that it was the year before.
Okay. And then you always talk about, when you talk about the offense, you look at how effective is Matthew Stafford going to be? Is he going to be that breakout player this year? We all said in 2013, is Matthew Stafford going to be the breakout player? And then we said in 2014, is Matthew Stafford going to be the breakout player? Is he going to be elite? And then in 2015, the talk is Matthew Stafford going to break out? Is he going to be elite? I kind of am shifting a little bit towards the notion that he is what he is, and he is a guy that you may need to continue to build around, that he's not a guy that can continue to have strong performances late in fourth quarters and be that guy, be that superstar. He's not a bust. He's not a guy that's a total waste. He's not an Aaron Rodgers. He just slots into that lower first tier quarterback. You want him on your team, but you need to kind of surround him. And I don't think he's living up to the first overall pick status, but he's not living up to a bust status either.
Dude, Jim Caldwell's a QB whisperer, dude. There was all kinds of articles and talk about all the great things he's been able to do at quarterback. So you don't think Stafford's going to elevate his game this year?
I don't know. I don't think it takes 6 to 7 years to get one playoff win. And I know some people, last week, Casey Hollins from WXYZ told us that she doesn't subscribe that it's all on the quarterback. And he played okay versus Dallas. It's just when you're the number 1 pick, when you get an extension for that much money, you need to kind of be like Aaron Rodgers. That's what you need. That's the measuring stick. And unfortunately, if that's the measuring stick, Matthew Stafford comes up short.
Yeah, he does.
Well, so then, okay, let's try and look at it from a positive perspective.
Okay.
Let's just say now, and a lot of people are talking about it, that the coaching staff has recognized, okay, Stafford may not be the gunslinger, and he may turn the ball over a little bit too much. So now the staff says, okay, Matthew, we're going to handcuff you a little bit. We're going to run the ball more. We're going to dink and dunk. We're going to mold you. We're going to demand that you play a style similar to Drew Brees. What makes Drew Brees great? When you look at him, dinks and dunks, high percentage throws. He's always in the high 60s, low 70s in terms of completion percentage because they have that West Coast offense. And the premise is you need to move the chains, but you don't go for 20-yard passes every time. You don't throw the ball 50 times. You manage the offense. You shift not towards being a complete game manager, but you take less risks. And by having a Amir Abdullah, by maybe implementing more tight ends, by implementing Ebron and the other tight ends in the offense, you shackle Stafford and you remove the weaknesses that he has and you make him more effective.
Also, comparing him to Drew Brees, they started running the ball more last year. They totally set themselves up to make that Jimmy Graham move and send Jimmy Graham to Seattle. I feel like we're doing fantasy talk here, but to send him to Seattle by running the ball more, they made Jimmy Graham a little bit expendable. So now you can just bring another guy in and pass the ball to him, I guess. But they run the ball more now. So if we're supposed to be modeled after this New Orleans Saints offense, I think that's what they're working towards because now you're going to see the Lions run the ball more. You're going to see that with a guy like Joique Bell. You're going to see that with a guy like Amir Abdullah, who will probably be your Pierre Thomas, your scat back like Darren Sproles was, you know? So you're going to get that. And that's kind of, I don't know if you want to, I don't know if shackle's the right word. I think you might be, that might be a little bit too harsh and might be a little bit too condemning on Matthew Stafford. But I think you're right. They're going to sit there, they're going to make him be more of a game manager and less of a gunslinger is really what I think it is. It's just changing his mindset is all it really is.
Okay, so with that said, would you be okay with a reduced role for Stafford and being a little bit less of a gunslinger to Calvin and being a little bit more of an effect, being a little bit less, would you be okay if the Lions were a little bit more boring on offense, if it was effective?
Does it resort in W's? As long as it resorts in W's, I don't care.
W's.
You could have a circus bear on a unicycle throwing the football. As long as it resorts in W's, I could give two craps less.
Okay. Now, are there any players that you think on the Lions are maybe underrated that could break out this year in 2015 that maybe we haven't looked at, or someone that if we tell our fans out there on Periscope and Twitter out there that could potentially be a breakout player in 2015?
You're going to mock me, and you're going to laugh at me when I tell you this, because I fry this guy all the time. But I think Eric Ebron's going to have a breakout year. And by breakout year, just hang with me. By breakout year.
Oh, my God.
Right. I think I was surprised by this number. Last year, he caught 51% of his receptions, which is kind of horrible, but is more than I thought he caught, right? I thought it was much lower than that.
Yeah, Eric Ebron. I can't believe you said that.
No, just wait for it. So I think in 2015, with his much larger role, I think he's going to catch probably 65%. He's going to have a 65% reception rate, and I think he might get 6 touchdowns. That's like 14% better than the year prior and 5 more touchdowns. So I don't know if that constitutes as breakout, but I'll take that from that guy, from that position. The guy who's supposed to be our Jimmy Graham. Our Jimmy Graham.
You hear that, Periscope? The Jock thinks that Eric Ebron's going to be the breakout player. Lions gal out there on Periscope is laughing at you.
I don't blame her.
She's dying laughing.
I don't blame her. I just here's the thing. I think that he's going to be a little bit more productive this year, and I think that, okay, let's go Megatron. Is Megatron really going to be a breakout star? I mean, the guy's one of the best wide receivers in the game. Golden Tate last year was a breakout star, right? Had almost 100 receptions, had, I think, 4 touchdowns. The guy was a game breaker for us when we needed it. So do you think he's going to be a game breaker? He was last year. So who do you got? I mean, Matthew Stafford? I'm tired of the Matthew Stafford talk. I mean, every year, you just said it. Is Matthew Stafford going to break out? Is he going to be great? DeAndre Levy, you've seen it last year. DeAndre Levy's coming into his own. The guy's a stud, right? So you got nothing to compare with these rookies. All these rookies that we've gotten here, you've got nothing to compare those guys to. Who? You want to go Joique Bell? I'll give you Joique Bell. You know, I think 1,100 yards rushing is totally doable. And I think once that guy gets into the end zone, or he gets into the red zone, I think he is a very formidable back who can get the ball into the end zone. I think that'll work out. So if you want to say Joique Bell, I'm okay with that. 1,100 yards, maybe 10 touchdowns? I'm good with that. But I think comparing Eric Ebron to what he was last year, where he was absolute trash in my mind, to being a semi-productive player.
Okay, my breakout player is going to be a rookie. I believe that smart players are productive players, and you can never really fault offensive linemen because they're a smart breed. I think Laken Tomlinson is going to come in and be effective.
I hope so.
Yes,
he needs to be.
I think he's going to come in and he's going to dominate early.
Otherwise, Jock is going to set this entire studio on fire.
I think that Doc believes Laken Tomlinson was a smart pick, a guy that is going to potentially have a medical career outside of football if he continues. Smart offensive linemen, if they stay healthy, then have a strong chance to help this offense. And if you're going to run the ball more, if you're going to play a little bit more of a smash mouth style, you're going to need the offensive line to play well as a unit. And Laken Tomlinson is a guy that has impressed early on in OTAs, is a guy that knows how to protect the quarterback. And if Stafford has just that one extra second to maybe scan the field, he might be that much more effective. So I think Laken Tomlinson is going to be the guy that's going to be the breakout star of 2015. Watch out.
Will you do me a solid here, and will you entertain this thought? Will you go maybe a step further with your assessment of him? Will he be our Joe Thomas? Everybody's very high on Joe Thomas around the league, says Joe Thomas is probably one of the best left tackles in the league. Will you say he'll be a Joe Thomas type guy?
Ooh,
Put your money where your mouth is, bro.
Yes.
Oh, there he goes. I goaded him into it.
Not this year. Next year, he'll be a Pro Bowler.
Oh, really?
Second year, Laken Tomlinson will be a Pro Bowler. I think.
Can we take a bet on this?
It's time.
Can we do like a beer bet or something on this?
Sure. Six-pack.
All right, six-pack.
Bud Light.
All right.
Sounds good. Coors Light.
I'll take Coors Light.
That works for me.
Okay, cool.
Okay, beer bet. Laken Tomlinson will be a Pro Bowler in
2 years from now.
In 2 years.
Oh, I like this.
I have to put it out there because we've been saying it quite a bit. Who's going to be new to Detroit and step up? We've been waiting. I don't want to percolate and wait for all these young guys to step up and be effective for the Lions. Let's go. Come on in, make your mark on the league, and handle your business. Why not right now? Why not us?
Laken Tomlinson, 2 years from now, Pro Bowler. Detroit Lions.
So you know what that means, right? Game 2, his ass will be on the IR.
Blow his knee out.
It's done.
He's gonna mangle his just ACL, MCL, entire knee. Shots.
Or he just makes that one rookie mistake and blows out Stafford's knee. In the 15th week, or he has a decent season and he just makes that one rookie mistake and Stafford gets hurt. I don't know why I got a weird vibe that Stafford's going to get hurt like in week 14, 15 this year. I don't know why. I think
Kellen Moore? We're going to have Kellen Moore sightings?
Oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh. But I'm excited.
Dude, you could dress me or you up and throw us out there. Have us throw the ball further.
Oh my gosh. What do you think? Okay. A lot of people on Periscope and Twitter are kind of referencing Amir Abdullah.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a strong chance to kind of be productive his first year in your mind? Do you think he kind of pushes Joique Bell to get to that, to get more reps and snaps? Or do you think he'll be the guy that gets the screens and comes out of the backfield and just is in that secondary role as a second line running back?
I think they have a plan for Amir Abdullah, and I don't think that plan includes his first year taking over for Joique Bell. I think that what they're going to do is they're going to slowly integrate him into the system. I think initially he'll be used primarily for screen passes. I think there'll be some draw plays where he'll be the recipient of those rushing yards. But I think primarily it's going to be one of those things where they kind of ease him into it. You got to see if he can sit there and be able to throw blocks too. Joique Bell can kind of block. Theo Riddick can kind of block. If Amir Abdullah can actually sit there and block a blitzing D end, I think he's going to see more and more time.
Yeah, our Twitter and Periscope is kind of blowing up. People kind of have noticed and kind of have pointed out, and they want us to kind of weigh in. Do you think Joique Bell has that injury-prone tag on him and needs to be looked at and say, hey, listen, this guy kind of, based on his running style, is a bruiser. Those kind of guys get tackled a lot, and the guys that kind of fight the linemen, those guys that fight the defensive linemen kind of potentially are prone to injury because they're taking a beating, they're fighting through yards, and Joique Bell, doesn't have breakaway speed, so he's going to get pounded play after play that he runs. Do you think Joique Bell plays over 12 games this year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Joique Bell will have a complete season this year. I think he'll play all 16 games. I think with the additions on that offensive line, I think it's going to make his job that much easier. I think he's going to be able to break clean through the holes. I think he'll be able to get into that second level. And then in that second level, he's just got to be faster than the lineman. He's going to get drugged down from behind by a cornerback or by a safety because he just, like you said, he doesn't have the breakaway speed. But I think he will be able to get into that second level, and I think he'll be able to do some damage from there.
Yeah, and like I said, at Dope Weasel has been blowing us, has been messaging us constantly, and he echoes the point that I make. I think it's time to look at getting that star running back. I believe that this team could be on the verge of greatness if they had that last piece, and we haven't had a quote-unquote number one star running back for quite a bit of time. And I agree. I think that our Periscopers have been really active and really insightful today. I'm really happy. I agree. I just think that...
what about Amir Abdullah 3 years from now? Is he your premier running back? Is he the guy that you drafted where you drafted him and you brought him in?
To be number one? I don't know.
And you've integrated him into your system slowly to take that next level and be that guy?
Yeah, I'm taking the wait-and-see approach. See how he does year one. See if he continues that fumble problem, if he's able to, because he is a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. He, is going to be one of those guys that...
You said the same thing about Darren Sproles.
Yes, they did. And if we got Darren Sproles and he plays like that, I would be thrilled. But I do believe that Amir Abdullah is going to have every opportunity to do well. I just want to take a wait-and-see approach. I think he's going to have ample opportunity to be involved in that offense. He's got to show me, and we shall see. Right now, it's a little too early to predict. We'll see.
All right.
Okay, it's good.
Sounds good, dude.
Yeah, and just
I'm excited for football season.
And you know what, too? The everyone's excited that we talk Lions, and everyone kind of wants us also to talk college football soon, too. So we'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
We hear you. We hear you out there.
Yeah, that's building. It's coming.
Building.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Michigan State. Rah, rah, rah.
I think we need to.
We're gonna be doing. We'll be doing preview shows here real shortly.
Yes, I think that we also need to expand our scope and really look to give Urban Meyer and Ohio State credit. They're the gatekeepers, and Michigan and Michigan State are going to have a tall task. When you, as a program, have 3 Heisman-winning quality quarterbacks, 3.
Nobody left.
Which
blows my mind. What's going on? Who's all on the payroll down there? What's up?
They have 3 great quarterbacks, all capable
How many Lexus and Bentleys are leaving that place at a time?
All capable of winning trophies, all capable of having great season. I mean, Urban Meyer, if he was stressed out in years past, has to be pulling his hair out now. How do you decide among those 3? That'll be a topic for a future podcast. Potentially,
every game, somebody different.
Every quarter. And then the best one gets the 4th.
Right. That's it.
It's unbelievable what's going on over there at Ohio State. And I'm a little jealous. Michigan State's done great. They've reached that echelon level. But can they overcome a team like Ohio State year in and year out? It's going to be fun to see. We'll talk about it in future podcasts.
Michigan doesn't even have a quarterback.
I had a good time. I had a good time this week, bro. We talked to Tigers, Lions, talked about the happenings. Even though it was a slow week, we still rolled out 90 minutes just like that.
Yeah,
we can't do an hour anymore. We can't do an hour anymore. Come on, man.
It's crazy. When we sat down and we started discussing everything, we're like, an hour, just an hour. It's
we couldn't
a slow
do it.
Week, just an hour.
We can't. No, I don't think.
It's hard, man.
I think our new goal is 75 minutes.
75 minutes. We'll start shooting for that.
Well,
sorry everybody if you're listening and we go too long.
It's all good. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon. This has been the Doc and Jock's Detroit Sports Podcast, episode 101. Thank you.
Go Tigers. We got to go check this place out. There's these hot chicks who cut my hair, and the boobies are all on my face. It's great.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me. They talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things not to you. They talk to me.